Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You should know by now that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you that use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your support and for your continued commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all our listeners and viewers, and all of our new listeners and viewers, we want you to know that we are in the midst of our May FijiWater.com sponsored promo. So for all of our listeners and viewers, as you know, you go to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com. Faith Empowerment Radio, and the first three songs you hear at 12 noon or at 6 p.m. you text those along with your name, your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected to win a case of Fiji Water from FijiWater.com. And so stay tuned in on our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com. We want you to be with us, connected with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, where we play music that will it will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. It will help us to tune out all the other noises of what's going on in the world and just be inspired by inspirational music at WKAPFaith.com. And I want to announce for all of our new listeners and viewers, and for all of our listeners and viewers who for several years have been asking that we would go to a 1 hour broadcast. We will be doing that coming up, and I will announce the day and date. However, we don't have a date as of yet. We're still in the production stages of going forward with 1 hour. You asked for it, you got it. So stay tuned in and be with us right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have standards for the men you are going to date. And you said if they do not meet those standards, you are not going to tolerate anything else. Let me first of all say that this whole concept going on in society, because I've seen a lot of these communications, and I'm good with people having standards. The problem is you have expectations. And this has been done by our society by design. That's a topic for another day. But I will tell you this. This whole concept of you don't want to build with someone, you want to walk into success. You want to walk into, you've got standards, you say. No, I say, you have expectations. And I'm not suggesting that particularly as Christians, because we walk by faith and not by sight. So We should have expectations that God will do what he's promised in his word that he will do. Okay, I'm good there because that's the word. The problem is we set ourselves up for disappointment by expecting certain things from certain people. The problem is you haven't prepared for the opportunity. So I'm going to walk us all down this path because I think it's real important, because I'm hearing a lot from, I've watched communication shift significantly over the years since we've been broadcasting the Daily Divine Direction. The problem with that is that we're looking through the lens of society. And I will encourage everyone, you should go back to yesterday's sermon and at New Life Christian Center - Pastor Pope. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because yesterday I talked about the biblical worldview versus the secular worldview. So we're looking at life through the lens of society, society's expectations, society's design to disrupt relationships, marriage, the family structure. There's a reason for all of that. Again, that's a topic for another day. The reality is that your expectations are not based on what God's expectations are for you. Your expectations are based on how much money does he make, how well does he live, and you're not going to tolerate anything else. Well, the problem with that is that you're at a specific standard of life right now. And you want someone to take you to another level of living. The problem with that is you're not willing to put in the work to get there. And what I mean by that is we've got to learn that it's important for couples to build together. First of all, the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree? Do not be unequally yoked. And then it tells us you can only build a foundation in Christ. But then you have something to build on. And then you've got to build on that. And it takes time. We live in a microwave society. And everyone wants to be able to push the button and life to just cook. And what I mean by that is they want things to happen overnight. There's a reason that there's an old adage that says Rome was not built in a day. There's a reason that things take time, because if everything just happens for you overnight, you wouldn't be prepared to handle what's been given to you. And to whom much is given, much is required. Now, I know, contrary to popular belief, I know that people think that when you see someone having success, you think it happens overnight. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Everyone who is successful has put some work into becoming successful. Now, I'm not saying that opportunities haven't presented themselves that have blessed them. And sometimes there's ebbs and flows and variables, so sometimes it happens quicker than we might expect it to happen. But if we expect what God expects for us, then it's never too early, it's never too late, it's always right on time. Because God gives to every man, woman, and child according to their measure of faith. So as you believe, so shall it be unto you. So you've got to believe at the level you're on and trust God that you're right where you're supposed to be. This is taking me into another communication, but you've got to trust God that you are right where you're supposed to be. Prepare yourself for the next level so that when opportunity comes, you can walk into your blessing. We have a mantra at New Life, and what that is that opportunity and preparation merging together. The only way you can prepare yourself is to increase your relationship with the Lord. The only way you can prepare yourself is to study his word. The only way you can prepare is, as the Bible says, meditate upon his word day and night. Then you shall make your way prosperous. And then you shall have good success. The interesting thing about that passage is it didn't say that you'll just become prosperous. Pop. And it happens. It said you will make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. Now, I understand that there are, opportunities that will present themselves, and they do happen quickly because we prepared ourselves for what God has in store. He said he'll withhold no good thing from us, which means he's not going to hold anything, he's not going to give us anything that's not good for us. So you've got to understand that your standard is not a standard, it's what you expect from men. And that's the reason you say you won't tolerate anything else when you are dating a man or when a man wants to date you. And you've all heard me say this, and I'm going to say this again for our female audience. I'm going to say this again for our male audience. I want everyone to be clear on this, and that is we all have a role in relationships. First and foremost, we got to understand that. Second of all, for all of the men who are listening, your role is to find a wife, not a girlfriend, a wife. When you're searching, you're not looking for a girlfriend. You're looking for someone who could become a wife. That's what you're searching for. Because the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. You're only a good thing, and this is for the ladies, you're only a good thing if you're prepared to be a wife. If you're just prepared to be a girlfriend, that's all you can be. And you have missed out on what could potentially have been a good man that you could have helped become a great man because you set your expectations, not your standards, your expectations at a level they could not meet. And that's why you're having the challenges that you expressed in your communication. So I'm going to say to you, and this is for all of our female listeners, any man you date, make sure he has a relationship with the Lord, and not just a relationship, but a relationship that he's working on, that he's committed to developing, that he's committed to allowing that relationship with the Lord to rule over his life. And not you try to rule over his life, because you set expectations so high that he can't meet those expectations. And then you'll find that you'll have a better quality of life, because you won't spend the rest of your life being someone's girlfriend. At some point in time, you will become someone's wife. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you're in the market for a high-performance automobile, let's make sure you're clear on that. It is one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured. Go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will virtually have the opportunity to build out the type of Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can just simply go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the general manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone assists you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and you're in our area, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain someone schedules an appointment for you, that they pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner vehicle to you, and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you want to build a better life for yourself. However, it has been difficult. And you said you are struggling with accomplishing the things you desire to accomplish. Listen, you're not alone. First of all, I can tell you there have been many people over the time of in the course of our broadcast that have talked about their desire to accomplish so much more, but they struggle with it. They struggle with getting there. So first and foremost, I'm going to tell you this. You have to trust God that you're right where you're supposed to be. And I said in the last communication that it would take me into this communication because we all have to learn to trust God right where we are and prepare ourselves for the next level. And how do we do that? So when you want to accomplish more in your personal and professional life, you've got to first determine what you want to accomplish and you've got to write that vision. You've got to know what you want to accomplish for your personal life and you've got to know what you want to accomplish for your professional life. And then you've got to write the vision and make it plain. So there's got to be clarity to it. Then you've got to develop your own thought process by doing this. When you're writing the vision, making it plain, you've got to set some smarter goals. We started out with SMART goals many years ago, but then once again we take it to the next level, and now we understand what smarter goals are. And I've gone over smarter goals with all of our listeners and viewers in the past. And then you have to do a SWOT analysis. You've got to look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And when you've done all of that, you'll have a clearer picture of what you want to accomplish both personally and professionally. You do those things for both your personal life and for your professional life so that you have a better understanding, first of all, of what you want to accomplish, and then how do you get there? By setting smarter goals. And so when we do that, we're doing it with the intent that we're going to maximize the quality of our lives. And so for all of our listeners and viewers, I didn't have the intent to go through this today, but I got to tell you, it's real important that we understand that with smarter goals, there are literally 7 steps to our success. And that's all part of goal setting. So once you've written the vision of what you want to accomplish both personally and professionally, then you have to set your smarter goals. And we talk about going from level to level. We talk about what it really means to get to the next level. I've often talked about success, maximizing our success, then entering into the fullness of God, then maximizing the fullness of God. We've got to understand what all of that really means, but all of that is part of our smarter goals. So you've got to be real specific with what you want to accomplish, both personal and professionally. You've got to know what you want to accomplish. And then they've got to be measurable. So you've got to set standards, and you've got to set measurable goals. You've got to look at your outcomes. You've got to analyze your measurables consistently. So you do that on an ongoing basis. I like to do it every month, every quarter, and then annually. And so you want to make certain that they're measurable. You also have to make sure they're achievable. Look, if you're not prepared to be a neurosurgeon, then why would you put on your smarter goals that you want to be a neurosurgeon? I mean, you can always go back to school and you can always pursue a new career in neurosurgery, but you've got to know, is that achievable for you? Is that something that you can achieve? And this is what I encourage everyone to do. Stop just saying, I'm going to go from job to job so that I can have a better opportunity. You've got to make things relevant in your life. You got to look at what you're doing now, what craft you have developed, what your calling is, from a spiritual perspective. What is God purposed for your life? And then you have to, in your smarter goals, you have to make things relevant. They have to be relevant to what you can accomplish, what you desire to accomplish. Then you've got to make them time sensitive. You got to make them time bound. You got to make certain that you are constantly timing out what you're doing. Your goals have to have a time period. And then you have to trust God. So you're going to go back and evaluate. You're going to trust God that it's all in His time. But you have to evaluate, are you putting in the work? Are you doing what's necessary to accomplish what you desire to accomplish? And then you have to review and revise. You have to look at and say, okay, this has worked really well. This hasn't worked so well. What changes can I make, and what do I need to eliminate? You've got to do those things. And that's why we not only do the SWOT analysis, but we look at smarter goals. And then once you've done that, you begin to work. You set your goals, you work to accomplish them. And you can't be all over the place in the sense of, it didn't work this year, so I'm going to try something different. No, you've got to be consistent, because consistency is one of the keys to success. Consistency is being diligent. And when you're diligent, you make progress. I'm not asking you to spin your wheels. I'm just asking you to be diligent at what God has appointed for your life, assigned for your life, that fulfills your purpose for your life. And if we do that, we're going to find that we are in a much better place, a much better space, and that God will, watch this, reward those who diligently seek Him with additional responsibility. Because whenever God gives you more, to whom much is given, much is required. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Comcast Business. So we all definitely need to be more effective and efficient in business. And Comcast Business provides the opportunity to do that. So you call Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and you will receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. So improve your business technology, improve your business emails, everything that you could possibly need. Comcast Business will provide it. Contact Eunice at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and you will receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are in your 50s and the dating options have become limited for you, you stated. You said, do I have any suggestions for how you can improve on your dating options? Listen, first of all, let's be clear on something. We shouldn't be doing the same things at 55 that we were doing at 35. So you shouldn't be dating the same way that you were dating at 35. Let's be clear on that, first of all. And what does that really mean? So you've got to really recognize how important at this time in your life to be settled. People struggle with being settled. People, struggle with FOMO, the fear of missing out on something. And you've got to get to a place where you're at peace with yourself. That, I often talk about this. I've talked about this in sermons. I've talked about this on the Daily Divine Direction broadcast some time ago. But, my wife and I have a door pillow hanger. And on that, it says peace. And, I've often talked about there's 3 levels of peace. There's peace where you don't have any conflict, you don't have any confusion, you don't have any chaos. There's peace that surpasses all understanding. And that means you don't really have to understand everything that's going on, but you have peace because you know who's in control of everything that's going on. And then there's perfect peace. And people think it's not possible to have perfect peace. Well, it is possible to have perfect peace. When you allow the Spirit of God to settle in your life, you'll be at peace. You can always tell people who struggle with the Spirit of God because they're not at peace with their life. So they're always searching for something else. And they're afraid of missing out on something. But the reality is that perfect peace means I can settle right where I am. I'm not talking about being complacent. I'm not talking about becoming stagnant. I'm talking about settling right where I am right now. I'm not talking about settling for what life has for us. I'm talking about settling into what God has for us. And we settle into that space. And we find not our comfort zone, our sweet spot. So I laugh about this as I was prayerful about this communication, I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying to myself, my wife and I have this conversation all the time, because when I get in bed at night, and we often talk about how thankful we are to be able to lie down at night and have peace in our home. We don't live with chaos. We don't live with confusion. We're not doing that because we have the joy of the Lord. But having said all of that, so I'll make a little joke about, and we've joked about this from time to time, finding that sweet spot in the bed. You lie down at night, and the Bible talks about having sweet rest. And you find that spot in the bed where I call it the sweet spot, where I'll say it's the God spot. It's where nothing, no one can disrupt your peace. You're at perfect peace because you've settled. Well, we have to do the same thing with our lives. We have to find that God spot in our lives. We've got to find that spot where we're at perfect peace. We're not complacent because we're always working to accomplish the purpose God has purposed for our lives. We're not stagnant because we don't want to move forward, because we're not prepared to move forward. We trust that God will give us the strength to do everything that He's appointed for us to do and purpose for us to do. So you get in that spot. You get in that spot in your life also. But you can only get there if everything you do as unto the Lord, and you're diligent about what God presents to us to do and perform every single day. That's a place of perfect peace. You're in good health. If you have children, your children are well. And I know you do, but I'm talking to all of our listeners and viewers. Your children are in good health. If you have grandchildren, your grandchildren are in good health. And you're working every day to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. That's part of that perfect peace. And then we work to, watch this, your purpose, when you accomplish your purpose, when you're living your purpose, because it's ever evolving, but what I mean by that is it continues to move forward. When you've accomplished your purpose, then you've accomplished success. Then you've got to maximize the success. So you've got to master your craft. You've got to become the best version of you that you could possibly become. And then you enter into that place of God, the fullness of God in our lives, where we are at perfect peace. And then we have to maximize that, we have to teach our children and prepare our children to have a life of perfect peace. And then at some point in time, we all go home to be with the Lord if you're saved. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. Remember, Go to WKAPfaith.com. Stay connected with us throughout the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days, 365 days a year. No, we're not going to be off the air 10 days, 365 days a year. The only time we'll be off the air is for maintenance.